The bill portion is just about done. I got all the main assemblies together. There's a bit of gap filling going on, mainly taking care of mounting holes. So this thing could be hung, and the cells are all sanded down. Just again, a few more spots I need to fill. So let's start talking about the internal structure. The way this thing mounts is it comes with a that's on the other side of the room again, shuttle bay thing. Basically, it's like a brick that this stands on, and it stands in the back with a little tiny stand that fits into the into this hole that was there. And then there's two mounting rods holding up the saucer, which I just filled in here. So we're going to hang it instead. Got the nails mounted into the top of the saucer, the tacks, and I didn't have to do too much reinforcing there because they're going through a good chunk of plastic, so hopefully they will be pretty firm. There's a lot of surface contact area there for the glue. Now the pylons, I think is the correct term here. The pylons drilled a hole into the center, and when you're drilling between two pieces of plastic, make sure you hold it very firmly, because otherwise when you drill it's just going to split the plastic. So and I have some, I think this is 1/16 brass rod. The nacelles are not going to need a huge amount of reinforcing. I'm just doing it just to be safe, because they have a really good connection that goes into the body. Somehow, I think I got this backwards. Yeah, this is backwards, but so this is going to slide in here, and then it also clips into the top. So that's going to be a good mounting position, but I still wanted a bit of reinforcement. So the 1/16 rod, once I get this cut to size and it'll bent, it'll be going one side into the nacelle and the other side into the body. Now for the rest of the ship, where we need some really good reinforcement with the saucer. I originally was going to do something similar to that with some wooden dowel. However, while getting supplies at Home Depot, I found this. This is aluminum rod, probably, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch thick or something like that. Aluminum, it's quarter inch thick. Aluminum rod is, aluminum is a soft metal, but this thing is still pretty strong. I mean, I can bend it with my hands, but it takes some effort. So it's lightweight, and it's going to add a good amount of durability to this kit. And so the plan is, part one of the plan is, at least, this will go in through here, and then we're going to bend this part here, which is going to go into the saucer. I just kind of drilled some pilot holes. I'm going to cut out more of this. My drill died though, so I can't exactly get it fitting yet. And then this will bend along the somewhere in the, sorry, thing's big, hard to hold, hard to keep on the camera. So this is going to bend somewhere into here, and then the rest will go. God, this is, sorry, difficult to manage this thing. And so the rest of this will go into the body, like so. Hopefully I can cut this with my metal shears. I haven't tried yet. So that's part one. This is going to be internal backbone to it. However, it doesn't have much to glue onto. So there's a lot of space here. I really would rather have something solid for this thing to be inside the body parts. So part two is insulation spray foam. So this is, you've probably seen this around places. It's a spray insulation used for filling in small gaps and holes around your house. And we're going to be using this to put in some something for all these rods to be secured into. I've used this once or twice before, not exactly in this, on a model kit like this, but I've used this for gap filling for other terrain and things like that. So once we get a lot of these sections together, we're going to spray this inside and then run the rods through, and then once it's dry, it'll have contact between there will be no air in it, so there'll be contact between the rod and the inside of the ship, which will make it really secure. Do have to be careful with this stuff though, because it does expand, and first of all, don't want it expanding so far that it starts pouring out of the neck or something like that. Secondly, it will expand in the direction of least resistance. However, it will expand in every direction. So also, again, I don't want it to expand this away and split the pieces apart. So I'm actually going to run a few experiments with it first, so I can figure out exactly how much expands how far, so I know exactly how much to prep into the ship. But that is the state we are right now. I'm waiting for my cordless drill to recharge so I can clean up this area here and cut some more accurate holes. And then I gotta see if I can cut this. I may have to break out the Dremel to cut it. And we're getting close to paint. Alright, it's starting to come together, literally speaking. And got the pylons on to hold the nacelles, and I got the brass wire in there, and they're glued in place with a bunch, well, you probably can't see it too well in there, but I squeezed a whole bunch of Gorilla Glue in there, which before I used the Elmer's version, and actual Gorilla Glue tends to expand a lot more, so that filled up that cavity pretty good. Also, I had them come out and meet in the center. Oops, there we are. And I put a big hunk of epoxy putty to hold them in place. So now they are joined, literally joined together, and they're very solid. So that'll give me a lot of strength. The funny looking wires here are what's going to be holding this ship up once it's hung. I considered a few options on how to do it. Initially, I was thinking about adding a screw or two on top of here and hang it from there. Unfortunately, it's not a good idea, because then all the weight is going to be along these two seams here, and it could eventually pop off. So ideally you want to hold it from the bottom, and I thought maybe about just looping some wire around the bottom. However, that doesn't sound very secure, and so then I got the idea of drilling holes into the bottom, and I added, you can see, just a bit of plastic tubing. So then when we put the wire through, it will the tube will help it, come out the other end. And that's still gluing in place right now. And the wires are just, making sure that everything is flushed up. So that's that. And I gotta quickly get to the saucer here because I already applied glue. We got the aluminum rod bent and in place. It's being held together again with a little bit of Gorilla Glue, yes, and some epoxy putty. That's mainly just to hold it in place while I attach everything else. So, and I already put glue on all the little pegs. I gotta make sure I don't knock this wire. One of the few times that when gel plastic cement actually comes in handy. Normally I wouldn't touch this stuff, but once in a while it's a great benefit of having this stuff. Regular plastic cement dries too fast, wouldn't give me time to put everything in place. So the gel dries a lot slower. You just have to be very careful with it, because since it dries a lot slower, it can actually burn a hole through the hull. If I put like a big glob right here, it would take days to dry and eventually just eat its way through. I did that on a kit previously, many years ago, which ironically was another Enterprise. So I want to get this done quick. Been experimenting with the gap filling solution. This stuff does not expand as much as I thought it did. I think they do make another type that expands more, and I think last time I used that on a couple projects. So we're going to spritz. Initially I was going to put the sausage together, then put the wire in, and then insert this and kind of fill up the whole cavity. But I couldn't get the wire in with the top on, so that's why I'm doing it this way. So I need to stop talking and get this done. Oh, shaking would help. About that slight issue, I forgot the foam keeps coming out even when you turn it off because it expands. And I think I ruined my carpet. But anyway, here we go. Gonna take a little bit of effort to line up all these holes. But yeah, I'll get this eventually. And then once this is together, the inside will be locked together, and then I'll go around the edges with some more plastic cement and slowly clamp it down to seal up the edges. But hopefully I haven't used too much foam here. We'll find out if this thing expands. Right. A lot of things went on here, and not everything according to plan, as usual. And I recorded a lot of footage, but I'm just going to kind of sum up because a lot of the stuff I ended up redoing. Anyway, here's the whole thing. I got the whole kit ready to prime, and first of all, primed it with some Privateer Press white primer, which I was also planning on using for the base coat. So I primed all this, the whole kit, and first of all, that was one cardinal mistake. Don't use primer that is the same color of the styrene you're spraying, because then you can't tell what's actually primered and what's not, which I'll get into in a minute. But I did prime everything, and then I went through and I just sprayed all the areas that needed color, which you'll see in a minute. But anyway, I sprayed all the blue bits, the duck egg blue, which I used. Oh, I don't have the bottle here, but it was Vallejo Model Air Pale Blue, which is a good match for duck egg blue. And I did that in the yellow bits around the saucer and some other colors and what have you. And I just sprayed it all randomly with the plans on masking off the areas that needed masking afterwards. So, the masking, let me mention the masking real quick. Masking, I'm using 3M tape. I got this at like Pep Boys auto supply store. This makes good masking material. Also, the Tamiya tape is also very good. I didn't think I would have enough, so I was using this. The one thing that does not make good masking material is painter's tape. However, this stuff is good for filling in large areas that need masking. Like you can go over, if you have like a big square to do this around the edges and then use this to fill in the void in the center, because it's fine for that. But it tends to leak a bit around the edges and doesn't stick that well. So, started masking everything off, and then I realized, you know, it's going to be a lot easier just painting the things in by hand rather than trying to mask off all these very complicated areas around here. And I can get away with painting this stuff by hand on this kit because it's going to be all whites, and all the areas that need painting are clearly defined with you know, little seam lines and all that. So rather than doing all the masking, I did that. There were a few areas that I did mask off on the body, which is drying on the other side of the room. That's where the white primer and white styrene issue comes in, because on the body I forgot to prime the top side. So when I was putting on the mask and adjusting and pulling back off, all the paint around the body started pulling off, all the blue paint. So yeah, gonna have to repaint a lot of this stuff. So just pull that off, sand it down a bit, and then because I had all the colors on it, I decided, you know what, heck with it, I'm going to have to put an undercoat on because this stuff does not cover all that great. So I decided to go ahead and undercoat everything and do the whole kit. I airbrushed it with light gray, and I said, screw it, I'm just going to use the airbrush to paint it. I did not want to use the airbrush originally because trying to get a smooth coat on this huge surface was going to be a huge problem with a tiny little airbrush. And yeah, after going about through 6 or 7 reloads through the airbrush, it was going to take forever, and this thing doesn't fit in my airbrush booth, and there's paint particles going everywhere, and my apartment is now, everything's white. So that didn't work. I went back to this and just started using this as the white base coat. You just gotta really shake the hell out of this stuff, and even still it doesn't cover that well. The black is a lot better. The white I don't like. And of course I finished about 90% of the kit and I ran out, so I had to go get some more today. But everything is finally painted white. Oh my god. So I just need to pull off some of the masking I did. I did the nacelles And I did these gray squares on the saucer here, which of course are not going to come up. It makes me look very bad on camera. But these I did with sky gray. To me, it's sky gray and a little bit of white added. But there we go, nice clean line. So the plan now is to do the pearlescent, which I left on the other side of the room. So the original Enterprise had a white pearlescent look to it, which they repainted in subsequent movies because the pearlescence was, they had problems photographing it. However, it looks really good. And I'm doing the original Enterprise, which is pearlescent, so that's what I'm doing. And I have testers. This is White Lightning paint, which is, I use this on the 1/1000 scale Enterprise, and it looks really good. The thing is, it's called White Lightning. It's actually more of just a clear metallic. So I have to undercoat everything white for this to come off. If I left it all gray, then this thing's gonna be all gray metallic. But it works really good. So the plan is right now, pull off the masking where necessary. I'm not actually sure if these were supposed to be pearlescent, but I'm doing it pearlescent. Mainly because I wanted to see if the color was too dark or not. I think this is going to be fine. But you take this back outside, give this with a good coat of the White Lightning, and then I can go in and start painting all the details back.